Silicon Valley tech giants like Twitter and Facebook, they are now among the most powerful companies in the world, and the disturbingly close relationship between big government, a core principle of the left, and big business is a growing threat to our freedoms.
Absolutely. The birth of woke capitalism, a toxic new brew of profit-seeking and wokeism, is a cultural revolution perpetuated not by politicians, but by the leaders of big corporations, especially in Silicon Valley. On this day, today, in the afterglow of America's July 4th birthday, it's worth considering if we are as free as the founding fathers intended. Yes, we are free from direct foreign tyranny. No overseas power, thankfully, controls our land, and the idea of any invasion of America seems, thankfully, impossible. Though China does have a level of influence over key power levels in America that should trouble all of us. The Bill of Rights mostly still defends citizens against politicians and state actors coming in the way of our God-given rights. But what about private threats? What about the increasing ability and willingness of big business, especially big tech, to do what the Constitution stops the government from doing? The founders could not have possibly foreseen, as prescient as they were, they could not have foreseen the kind of multinational corporate conglomerates that now control so much of our society. Their focus, the founders, was on restraining the power of the state. But in 2021 America, when big business becomes the primary threat to our rights, we should take notice and we should take action. Because whether the censoring of our political speech or the silencing of our opposition ideas, whether it comes from government or from Facebook and Google, the result is still the same. Not to mention, it hurts us all financially to have so much economic power in so few hands. It especially hurts working class citizens and small business. Now, just how dominant are these big firms? For a look at that, folks, it's time for our 4th of July holiday Chalk Talk. And yes, folks, by the way, I know today's not the 4th of July, but it is the holiday, the observed holiday for so many people. This is a Chalk Talk giving you some of the data, some of the numbers on big tech dominance in America right now. I want to focus here on the triopoly. The actual legal term in antitrust law and in economics is a collusive oligopoly. That's a cumbersome term, so we're going to go with the triopoly, meaning that these are three monopolies that operate in their respective lanes: Google, Facebook, and Amazon. What do I mean by their lanes? Well, the lane for Google essentially is search and video. The lane for Facebook is essentially social networking. And then for Amazon, it is obviously online commerce, in addition to, maybe not as obviously to all of you, to cloud hosting. And note that they stay in their dominant lanes. And they don't necessarily have to overtly agree on that, by the way. There can be a collusive oligopoly. There can be a triopoly where they tacitly simply agree to stay in their respective lanes. Now, how dominant are they, these three, this triopoly? In terms of online advertising, they control 90% of all digital ads in America. 90% in only three companies. But let's broaden it out to all advertising period, across every medium that is out there. They control now just over 50%. These three companies control the majority of all advertising in the United States. I would suggest to you this is an incredibly dangerous concentration of power. How do they get there? How do they get to this kind of dominant position? One of the ways is a massive amount of takeovers. It's not just that they organically grow their business, it's that they have been so acquisitive. They are constantly acquiring other companies. For Amazon, they've acquired 111 total companies. Google has acquired 268 total companies. And by the way, some of these companies are massive. In the case of Google, they bought a large portion of what was Motorola. They also bought Waze, the direction, the mapping service. For Amazon, bought Whole Foods, which is maybe more obvious. A lot of cloud firms that you probably haven't heard of that is less obvious, but still incredibly important. But that is the reality of big tech dominance in our country right now. And it appears to only be accelerating. You know, a recent CNBC article on the blowout earnings lately of big tech said this: typically in business, companies run into the law of large numbers and growth rates slow. But the nature of technology platforms turns that law on its head. When a tech business achieves massive scale, it's easier to grow by collecting additional revenue streams from a massive installed base than it is to invent new business areas from scratch. And Patriots, therein lies the problem, which is why we need to resurrect Teddy Roosevelt-style trust busting. It can be powerful in 2022 and 24 as a campaign issue. Democrats are wholly in the tank right now for big tech. They are. But unfortunately, many establishment Republicans are too. What they should do, those establishment Republicans, is take heed and listen to the legendary conservative economist Milton Friedman.
Separate out being pro-free enterprise from being pro-business. The two greatest enemies of the free enterprise system, in my opinion, have been on the one hand my fellow intellectuals and on the other the big businessmen.
Well said by the Nobel laureate, the late laureate. And what do these companies then do once they've achieved these dominant positions? What do they do with all that cash and with all that power? Well, increasingly, they use it to attack our values and to mock traditional American beliefs. In June, for example, you couldn't have missed corporations gleefully turned every single logo and signage into a rainbow flag, allegedly taking some brave stand, as if there is any real movement in our country to deny gays the right to live as they please. Notice, those same companies, though, they refrained from such lecturing in religious Muslim countries where they operate. They love to lecture Rocky Top, but not so much Riyadh. Here at home, they meddle openly in the most partisan of political fights, including ones that have nothing to do with their core businesses. In Georgia, for example, when the state passed common sense election integrity measures, ones that, quite frankly, did not go nearly far enough, Woke Inc. screamed in protest. Mega corporations in Atlanta objected publicly and they lobbied privately, including Delta Airlines, UPS, and Coca-Cola. Yes, the same Coca-Cola that directed its employees to, quote, be less white in some insulting and bigoted critical race theory indoctrination for its workers. In a similar way, Jeff Bezos of Amazon, what does he do with his fortune? Well, he uses a fraction of it, just a fraction, to buy the Washington Post and push anti-Trump lies like the entire Russia hoax, thereby forming an alliance with the left to deflect attention away from his control of cloud hosting in America, a power used to silence the conservative-backed Parler app when it started to gain some traction. Big business stands ready to do the work of the left in exchange for the state ignoring their abusive practices. Just think of the bargain that big tech got out of the 2020 election. After they suppressed the most blockbuster story of the whole campaign, the laptop from hell, Biden China pay-to-play scandal, in return, Zuckerberg and Dorsey, what did they get? They got the assurance that during a Biden administration, those monopolies of Facebook and Google, they can operate with impunity.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.